All right, welcome to episode 22 of the SpiceCast. It's me, Verism Rip, and the homeboy, the man himself. You want to introduce yourself, buddy?
Ron, aka
Ron
Timothy.
Himothy,
Yes.
and we sacrifice Ruri. We're just gonna start out the pod.
Dre's not here either, but we didn't sacrifice him. But you know the conversation we had last week about sacrificing somebody? That's what we did to Rory. That's why he's not here.
We do have to mention that Ruri did go viral on TikTok.
Yes. It was the tweet he made 3 years ago. Because I remember I sent him the tweet that he replied to. And then I look up, I sent him in the middle of the day on the Saturday. And then Saturday night, I'm just scrolling through Twitter, and all I see is somebody else that I listen to on a podcast retweeted him, and I was like, "Bro," I hit him in the DMs like, "You went viral." Like it's people who I know of that don't know you that are retweeting this.
I hadn't even seen the tweet until you had posted it. Or really, the TikTok, because I think it was a featured TikTok, right?
I didn't know about the TikTok until somebody else in another Discord posted about it, but I remember what happened that day when you made that tweet.
Yeah, that's why we had to sacrifice him. He was getting too popular for his own good. We had to get him out of here.
He need to come back to YouTube though.
True. And in other things that another news between all of us, I put out my album the past week or so. Album rollout mode.
Let's go stream Verism's album. What's it called? What's the name of it?
Being Real is Dead. And I had always wanted to use the name for that as an album because I think I've always put that as my motto online everywhere. I kind of just feel like technology is taken over and we've all lost touch with reality in a sense, especially after the pandemic. But I hope if you listen to it, you will be inspired to do stuff that will make you feel more human, since being human is really not really enough nowadays.
Yep.
But otherwise, I had a real good fun time making it. It's about 7 years of material, kind of chopped up and put into different places. I don't know.
That's hard work.
I had a fun time finally putting it all together though. I just decided one day I was like, you know what if I just put the album out now, because I have more than enough material. So yeah, go ahead and check it out if y'all have any time. It is on all of the major streaming services: Apple Music, Spotify, TikTok Music. um, Besides that, though, let's move into the stories for the week. So this Popeyes biscuit story, Ron, have you read that yet?
I took a look at it a little bit, but I'm about to open it up right now.
So yeah, this lady from Georgia was arrested after she purposefully crashed her car into a Popeyes over missing biscuits.
Hey, I hope she had a drink because it's not worth doing this just over the biscuits.
The wildest part is in the story. They're saying the manager said they fixed the mistake. So they gave her the biscuits. She still drove her SUV into the store.
You need video of this, man.
I desperately need the video of it. Not only that, so the warrant says she kept driving until she was stopped by the debris. So she was trying to run the kitchen over.
She said, "Fuck Popeyes."
In the story, it says after fleeing the scene, police say they found her vehicle with front end damage at her home. She went home, had the Popeyes. It's like, all right, I got my piece, and now
I feel like somebody there probably knew her. If they found it at home,
I
or
mean, I don't
something,
think it's that hard to look at the video footage if they had it to
or she was in trouble before.
I mean, they got if they get your plates, it's over because they could just be like, "Oh, those plates are at this address."
That too.
But yeah, it says after she fled, she was found, and they gave her a bond of $4,000, and it's not known whether she's still in custody or not. 50-year-old woman, by the way.
Yep.
So that's the Popeyes story of the day. Speaking of Popeyes, I just had Popeyes because I'm gonna just segue this into saying fuck Pizza Hut because
Yes, fuck Pizza Hut. I've
bro,
hated Pizza Hut for the last 15 years.
I I need to understand truly. I need to understand how a large pizza, right, one topping. I didn't even get multiple toppings, and 8 wings was $26.
It's the wings. That's why.
The
Every
wings are,
no,
bro.
every pizza place, if you get like pizza and wings, the wings will make it almost $30.
At that point, I might as well go to Wingstop
Yes.
and just get wings. But I just wanted to segue that Popeyes cost me $10 for a sandwich and drink and a side. So this why this shit is serious. Popeyes biscuits is serious business, man. Um,
Yes. I
speaking of
mean,
things that can just fuck right off, man. Fuck USPS too.
USPS is like one of the weirdest places since 2020.
Ron, I gotta tell you this. There's a USPS by me that's the lowest rated thing I've ever seen in this city. Like with over 100 reviews. All right, so I'm looking at it right now. It has 373 Google reviews and it's sitting at 1.8 stars. The thing that really fucks it up, and I don't know if this is every USPS or just this one. If it's every USPS, I think it's stupid. But this one is closed on the weekends.
Oh,
So
why?
yeah, exactly. So then if you want to go there during the week, it's only open from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. So they're basically saying if you have a job, fuck you. Um,
Yeah.
that's not even the beginning of why I'm saying this, though. I've had one package recently that got delivered to an entirely different apartment complex. No other delivery service has done this. They delivered that shit to the street behind me and
What?
then
What?
had the nerve. The lady had the nerve to be like, "No, I dropped it off with you." I was like, "Really?" Because I would have the package if you did.
They do that to my mom's. Like they drop people's packages to her house because there's, I guess it's USPS that does this. I don't know. Maybe UPS does it. Maybe FedEx does it. FedEx probably does it. But like they don't read the streets they go on in her neighborhood, so they just drop them off at the. They just see the number and okay, that's where it is.
I'm actually looking at the reviews, like themselves, on that post office by me. It says, "Are they even delivering packages anymore?" I was getting notices that they attempted to deliver, but nobody was home, and I'm literally home all day, every day.
Probably
So
just
they suck, man.
they probably
I go
um
ahead.
how do I put it? They probably just seen like there was no like car in the driveway and just say, "Oh, nobody's home." When the car could have been in the garage or behind the house or something.
Bro, it's an apartment complex.
I'm talking about the person who reviewed it.
Oh, fair, fair. The other thing that I had recently was I had a package that I obviously because I wasn't home they couldn't deliver it because it had a signature required, and they gave me 3 days to pick it up before they sent it back to Korea. Now
Oh my
keep in mind
god!
I can't pick it up myself because I have a 9 to 5, 8 to 5 really, and by the time I get back home after traffic, it's like 5:50, and they close at 6. So instead, I had to send my poor mom, shout out mom, to go and pick it up for me. And the fucked up thing to me was when I asked them to redeliver it because they were closed on Saturday. Even though I asked them to redeliver it, they didn't do it because I set it for Saturday. I was like, wait a minute, y'all are closed to the public and just closed? Like, what are we doing here?
So they don't deliver mail on Saturday either?
They do.
What?
They deliver mail on Saturday. So I'm like, make it make sense.
It must do something like uh relegate it to another um post office.
I had heard the Northwest, I think it's the Northwest Distribution Center, like the main hub in Houston for my part of town, is like the worst one in the entire country. So maybe this is just like a side effect of that. But I just want to say, yeah, fuck USPS. I'd rather use a carrier pigeon. I'd rather use smoke signals
Yes.
to I'd rather telepath the package, send the vibes of the package to somebody than use USPS ever again. In the meantime, I'm just going to have stuff delivered to my job because they let me do that. So shout out to them.
Yes. Let's go.
Um, but yeah, send USPS to hell with Stanford because you know what? They're in hell too. Have you had a chance to check over that thread I showed you about all of the things that they've been doing?
I seen that and it took me I got halfway through the thread and I was like, this must be conservative.
It is, but I also think it's kind of insane, like all the stuff that they've been doing. I think this all really started when they put out their list of like banned words. I don't know if you had seen that a while back.
Uh, I think I seen it. I know a lot of people on this Stanford thing were complaining about not having about being denied, I guess, services because they weren't vaccinated. And I was like, oh, okay, I know what type of list this is.
Which yeah, I agree that the list I showed you was like a conservative bias, but it seems like to me that a lot of these big universities, but Stanford specifically, have gotten pretty hard about like being inclusive, diverse, and giving equity to people when I, as somebody who's had issues with higher education, just in like the way that they structure things, I feel like you could focus on doing that and also improving your curriculum and like giving people a better education. And it's frustrating that one affects the other.
All right, hear me out. I've had issues with higher education too, like being in a very non-diverse classroom or like teachers not being helpful.
I just hate that since the pandemic, I'm going to transition it to this talking point. Like, the pandemic exposed to me how a lot of teachers just teach a PowerPoint. They don't teach off the PowerPoint, like, and go and explain shit. They literally use the
Oh,
PowerPoint.
oh, there. No, I've experienced this while in college, like 3 or 4 years ago. Like I just will watch a teacher just say point stuff off the PowerPoint, and I'm like, you don't really need to go to this class. But I'm like, if I don't go to class, I have nothing to do during that time.
Right. And you're sure as hell not going to read a fucking PowerPoint.
And I was like, I need the context a little bit.
I still really dislike a lot of how higher education is structured right now, and especially with like I'm gonna obligatory Chat GPT reference. But it seems like if you have all of these advanced tools that now can kind of fill in the gap for you rather than having to learn things, we should teach people how to learn things while being able to fill in the gap at the same time. I don't think anyone would have any issues with that, honestly.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it's funny that conservatives hone in so much on the DEI stuff because it's just kind of like, bro, there's so much bigger shit to worry about with higher education just wasting fucking money and charging insane amounts of money. Could schools do a better job of doing less stupid stuff? Yes. They should also, if you're paying to go there, provide you with a better education at the end of the day. Um, Especially because if we're gonna talk about education, man, we can't go past the Android versus iOS debate, bro. This is the greatest civil war in American history.
I wish Rui was here for this.
I will say, as an former Android user, I still like Android a lot. I still want to have an Android phone, but the biggest issue I have with it is like, especially Samsung just be straight up lying about their features.
Um, I've had I switched 3 years ago, like literally right before the pandemic, and I realized these phones are just both the same thing. Like
Yep.
the only difference is it's like when you take a picture on an iPhone, the picture is like really good, and you can never like predict how good the picture is going to be when you look back at it.
Even if you take like in the really worst lighting conditions, like the room is pitch black and you have a really harsh bright light in one spot, like it still does a really good job of normalizing the two for a phone.
Yes,
And I think what people misconstrue about getting like the pro version of the iPhone is like, yes, the pro is supposed to mean that it has the better camera, and it does, but it doesn't mean that you're a professional photographer or videographer,
don't
because the people who do those things use specific cameras to get high quality for whatever they're trying to do.
don't tell people this because
What spitting the real truth?
go get a real camera if you want to be a photographer. Being an iPhone photographer, not the wave.
Shit, that hasn't been the wave since like 2010, man. It's ridiculous.
Like I've been wanting a real camera for like 3 years.
Um, and honestly, I like taking phone cameras because of the convenience of it. I think the biggest thing that iOS has over Android is actually straight up hardware. Like an iOS phone, like let's say iPhone 10 and up, blows the water out of Android when it comes to performance of like capturing a photo, processing that photo, and letting you share it
Yes.
on any iOS app. I mean, shit. Snapchat was one of those where like Android users were getting roasted over the
No.
calls.
All right. The last Android phone I had for Snapchat, it made every like when I opened up the app and like would watch people's stories, I would have to stop watching for a minute because um it would like make everyone's pictures look darker than they actually were when they took them, and I was like, yeah, Snapchat on Android's cooked.
A lot of apps on Android are just worse than the iOS version. Like even something like Spotify, I feel like that was the biggest app difference when I switched over from Android to iPhone. Because I was like, man, why do people use Spotify? This don't make sense when I was on Android. Because I used to use Google Play Music and
When
like
I was
SoundCloud and Bandcamp.
when I used Android, I wanted to switch when I switched to iPhone podcast app for Spotify instead of using Spotify, and then I only used it for 9 months, and I was like, yeah, I gotta go back to Spotify, man, because it's a better podcast player than fucking Apple Podcasts.
Oh, fuck Apple Podcasts. That shit
The
sucks.
only reason I use it now is for like Patreon podcasts.
Actually, that's another good debate point because a lot of Apple's default apps are really not that good.
Apple Music is bad. Biggest problem with those Apple apps is they don't prioritize organization. Like it's so hard to navigate Apple Podcasts, Apple Music, like Google Apple Maps because like you have to do it in like a really ass backwards way, and I'm like, this sucks.
Right. Or even like I've had this issue. If you share uh, a collection of places, Like I think I forget what they call them on Apple Maps, but like say I have a bunch of restaurants I want to like send you, right?
Yep.
If you don't have an iPhone, that shit is like the longest link in the history of mankind. And if you don't have somebody in your contacts, it doesn't show it as like just a link. It just shows like the entire link structure, and it's really bad. So there's some native Apple stuff that kind of just is goofy. I think the goofiest thing about Apple, if I'm doing devil's advocate, because I think I like iOS more as a whole. The goofiest thing is the share button is not the share button.
Yep.
The share button has like everything that you'd want to do to something in a lot of different apps, and they just use the share button because that's what people do. I don't really get it. Like for example, like if you want to hide an image, you have to press the share button. I feel like that's a bit weird. But yeah, otherwise, I think Android, if you want to like make the phone customize exactly how you want it to, is pretty good. Whereas with iOS, you kind of have to like, are you okay with how Apple does things? If not, you're not going to have a good time. As they say, it's the Apple way.
Yep.
Um, but as far as the debate between, I think this is a very American debate because in other countries they just use Android and then go to WhatsApp or Telegram or whatever the fuck.
I mean, like, if you use Apple Messages in another country, like for example, England, it's because you know that person has an iPhone. You're not sending that person a message on messages if they have an Android. You're going to WhatsApp and just sending it there.
That actually brings I forgot to mention this. So if you're texting on iMessage, you know how people complain about the green bubble shit?
Yeah.
You could actually disable all of the bubble stuff and only use SMS, and it'll be green bubbles for everyone, even if they have an iPhone.
Well, what I heard about the green bubbles is that when they originally designed the iPhone and like iOS, it was supposed to represent green was supposed to represent paid messages. So like ones back when the day when people used to have to pay to send text messages to
Mm-hmm.
other people, and then the blue ones were supposed to represent because you have an iPhone free messages, which were like Apple to Apple accounts, pretty much.
So it's actually backwards how people used to think about it. If you had the blue messages, you were broadcast, and if you had green,
Oh,
you were
it
paid.
was pretty much like, oh yeah, if you have blue, you know. Well, I mean, everyone knows if it's blue, you know you're sending it to somebody else with an iPhone, and so it was free at that point. But
Yeah, I don't think
then,
Apple's ever going to change that though.
yeah, but then people didn't like cell carriers realize like charging people for text messages is stupid, kind of like how charging for minutes was stupid, and charging for what's it, data.
Oh my
That
god.
was the biggest scam ever, charging for data.
Charging for data, man, I'm getting a throwback to when you'd have like a 1 gig overage and they'd be like, all right, that's $8 or whatever the fuck per gig.
Yeah, we had our plan switched like 10 years ago, and I went over 1 month because I had shitty internet at home and I just wanted to watch YouTube sometimes, and it would take forever to watch YouTube on my internet. And I was like, why did they change our plan to this bullshit? Like, we had a better plan before.
Um, I don't know if you want to move on to another topic. Resident Evil
uh,
4. Did you ever play that?
I played Resident Evil as a kid. That was on like PS1. And I just remember mom was mad that my dad bought me the game because it was a rated M game. And I guess she didn't want me playing those. So I haven't played like a Resident Evil that's came out since. But how was the demo?
The remake demo is fire, man. I think that's Capcom is on a roll lately, and like with Street Fighter 6, Monster Hunter, um, now Resident Evil, they're just like on fire right now.
Yeah. Okay, 4 came out like '05, so I could have been old enough to play this one, but I didn't.
4 is the one with the village, and you have to save the president's daughter.
Yeah.
The shit,
I
bro. Replaying it like in the remake version, I was like, man, there's. It's funny how they can modernize these games and make it have like the same beats, like the same kind of like vibe and pace, but the graphics, man, are so much better.
This is why I don't. Yeah, this is why I'm never gonna be anti remake.
Very true.
Let's see. Let's talk about where's it at? I'm trying to get back to doc sheet. Oh, the double down is back. I never
Yeah, the
had it
double
before.
down.
Oh,
Yo,
I don't live by KFC or like that, so
bro, the double down is my shit. I used to eat those just because like you could eat one and be done for the rest of the day.
I seen it and I'm like, I guess people like it. I don't know. Like, it's nearly KFC by my mom's house, but I like don't like KFC except if it's the chicken tenders. Those are fire. They don't mess with those.
I used to like KFC a lot before they got bought by Yum Foods, who owns like Burger King
And
and like
Pizza Hut. No,
Pizza
wait.
Hut.
I
Do
know
they?
Yum owns Pizza Hut. I know that for a fact. I don't think they own Burger King
I thought they owned Burger. Oh, well, Pizza Hut makes sense because yeah, dude, anything bought by Yum Foods
because
turns to trash.
Taco Bell. Well, Taco Bell's elite, but we'll talk about that one day.
Yeah. That's a little I guess I'm being a little unfair, but honestly, like especially like 5 years, 5, 6 years ago, like anything Yum Foods was just awful.
Trying to see who owns Burger King. Owned.
Let me see. I'm looking at.
Restaurant Brands International. What do they own?
Let me just look up Yum Foods restaurants because I'm
I
curious myself
it's
now.
Taco Bell, Pizza Hut. I remember it used to be Long John Silver's, but those died out.
Is Wendy's part of Yum? Oh shit, Yum
No,
bought Wendy's. Oh no.
of course.
No. Man, that makes sense. Bro, for a sec they got rid of the spicy nuggets.
Oh,
I was like, what y'all
oh
doing?
no! Burger King is owned by Restaurant Brands International, who owns Firehouse Subs, Tim Hortons, and Popeyes. I think they used to own IHOP. I'm not sure. There was something somewhere else they used to own. I forgot though.
Um but yeah, the double down was like once KFC's quality had gone downhill, like with their regular chicken and like anything that wasn't like the famous bowl, the double down was the thing to get. I have a secret. If health enjoyers in chat, if you care about keto, all right, let me tell you the secret. You can get the double down grilled.
God, sounds immaculate. Like
So a grilled double down has bacon and their sauce, and all of that is keto friendly. So you are now aware. That's 1,000 calories you could just stack, easy, easy peasy.
easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Um, did you watch the Oscars, Ron?
I watched it, but it was kind of boring. Like I was watching like a Lakers Knicks instead because it was just something more interesting there.
I was watching the last episode of Last of Us. I'm not going to talk about it because we're going to save that for when you actually finish the show.
Oh, we gotta save it for either that or when Dre and Rui are back.
I well,
I mean, if Rui is back,
yeah, because he's been sacrificed.
yes, he's been sacrificed. All right, I put this on here, and here's the reason why I put this on the sheet. People wanting to become a millionaire or billionaire, it's worse than people thinking they become famous off of social media. And I'm like, you don't need to live a life of you don't need $1 million to have a decent life. You can really realistically do it with like $100,000, even with like inflation and everything. And I hate going to social media and people talking about I'm a future millionaire or this is who I'm going to share my millions with. Because in reality, you're probably not going to make $1 million. I'm sorry, but you need to hear this. You're not going to make $1 million.
You could make $1 million over time. I think
You're
making a
not
million annual income, $1 million every year, is crazy.
you're not going to have 1 million in your bank account at one time, most likely.
No, but like lifetime earnings, like if you work a 20-year job and you make,
Yes.
like 50 to 80K and you get raises throughout that and bonuses, you could do it, man. You
Yeah,
could make
but
8 million, but
uh,
not a millionaire. That does
but
not make you.
like you're not really gonna get much more out of life. Like literally, you probably just need like 100,000, 200,000 at most, and you'll realize life is good. Like that's all you need. You don't need 1 million because you're
You
gonna
say that
pop.
it's all you need, but what if I want? I woke up in that new Bugatti.
You probably don't need that new Bugatti, to be honest.
Have you ever seen the running costs of a Bugatti?
No.
Okay, so I think the tires alone, if you wanted to replace all four, because it comes with the wheel, you have to do it all at once. It's like 30K.
See, this is why you don't need it. This is why everyone doesn't need 1 million. Fuck, what the fuck you need a Bugatti for?
Flex. Go
Exactly.
300. Go 300 miles an hour. I don't know. Imagine going 300 miles an hour on a public road,
It gotta be like 2 a.m. if you do that.
bro. I don't think there's enough physical room, like on even on a Houston freeway. There's just not enough. There's not enough lack of
You
traffic or
probably
physical
have to be on like wherever that freeway wherever the highway is in California that goes along the coast.
bro. Even then, I'm just like, how long can you be at 300 miles an hour for anyway? You got to be on like the German autobahn, and you still don't have enough room.
You gotta be driving on a NASCAR track.
The NASCAR track has a turn, bro. Like, what straight line can you run on
Or
300 miles an hour?
what's that shit called? I would say NHRA drag racing, but that's like not long enough to get to 300. You might get 150.
I think you'd literally need like a plane runway, like a really big airport's runway, and you might have enough room to get to 300, but then not like continuously stay at it. So yeah, running costs. I think running costs on. That's the thing with like if you were a millionaire or a billionaire, like if you were legitimately that wealthy, then that shit starts to not matter because you have enough money annually coming in to cover those costs. But I think that's the part that people don't get when they're like, I want to be a millionaire, billionaire.
A
It's
lot of
really
these,
easy to spend a lot of money once you have
a
that
lot of
kind of
these
money.
people don't manage money that good.
See everyone putting all their shit on credit.
Yes, like people think taking the credit is better than taking $1 million. I'm like, no, take the mil. It's better just to pay for things in cash and not have debt.
All right, Ron, I got a bonus topic that I just thought of, but let's go. Paying fo. This shit is
Yes.
toxic, man. Yo, I don't. Okay, if you, I'm not a money manager. I don't do well with managing my own money. But I'll say this: if you do a fucking payment plan and it has interest, you're fucking up. If
Yeah.
you could do like a pay in four and it's like, all right, it's four even payments, there's no interest. I'm just paying off the thing in like a subscription bill, basically. All right, bet. But if you're getting like $4,000 Rick Owens jeans and it's like $600 per payment over 6 months with like 20% interest.
Dude, why the fuck are you buying Rick Owens jeans if you're doing that?
Like genuinely, what the fuck are you doing, bro? Because that's how I found out how people like really afford high end fashion shit. Because I've been like buying clothes lately, but I just buy shit that I could like afford. Like
Yes.
I like designer shit, but I don't like obscenely expensive pieces of clothing for the sake of being obscenely expensive.
I mean, that's what some people do. I feel like that's what people in like some places do just to say they have it. Like hype beasts. They're like, okay, I want to buy this shit. So I'm gonna just buy it just because wear it once and then I don't know what to do with it after.
Um, you know how we had talked about, I think 2 weeks ago, resellers being in hell.
Yes.
I gotta like in part of this conversation. Have you seen how hard the big red boots have dropped in price on a resale market?
The demand is down. Like,
Bro,
e-
people realized they only were gonna wear the shit one time.
yeah, like it really was just a New York City Fashion Week item, and now it's like, okay, what do you do with them now?
Right. At least like if you're gonna so the peak of that was those boots were $2,000, right? Think of how many cool pieces of like there's so many things you could do with $2,000.
You could buy like 10 fits.
You could get if you're gonna spend $2,000 on one piece of clothing, get like an acronym hoodie that is like a it has like 80 different pockets and like has technology in it that makes it do a bunch of cool shit. Like you can have it slung over, but it's still on you. Like there's so many other pieces of clothing you could buy for 2K that aren't the fucking big red boots that are functionally good. And even then, like, I don't know if you saw. It is. I'm just gonna for the audience. It's Wednesday, March 15th, right? So
Yeah.
today, Drake's tickets went on pre-sale for Cash App, and
I seen a TikTok. It was like, "While we eat noodles for the next 6 months," and then it was like a screenshot of somebody getting Drake's tickets.
I think the top price on the sale was $350 that I saw at least. But they were reselling for like 1,000 already, and I was like, all right, for $1,000, I don't know if I'm seeing Drake, man. I'm sorry.
You can see Drake at home.
Bro, how about the people who did have to do it had to use Cash App, the Cash App card, and they got rate limited because Cash App, their bank was like, "Hey man, you've never deposited to Cash App before. Are you getting hacked?"
Oh,
So it was a movie today.
no, what was it? I think it's that Ticketmaster too.
Yeah,
Why don't more people just use SeatGeek? Like, it's an easier app.
because Ticketmaster has a monopoly on all the artists that you'd actually want to see, bro. Like for the initial sale.
Even though SeatGeek did me dirty last week when I was trying to get some pre-sale tickets for something, so I had to wait till fucking Friday afternoon to get the actual tickets I wanted.
I've been
Like,
using Vivid Seats lately.
like, okay, I look at this. Yeah, it's a lot of sporting events on here. Let's see. It's Adam Sandler. I could get tickets to. I could get tickets to Lizzo or Pink. Well, I wouldn't buy tickets for Pink now. I could get tickets for Lil Wayne.
All right, that's not bad. I was waiting for you to say somebody good.
No, because I was like, when I seen Pink, it says November 8th. I'm like, that's like 9 months from now. 8 months. No, but it says Lil Wayne, but like the prices is insane for this Lil Wayne ticket. But it's floor seats, that's why. Like general
Oh,
admission.
makes sense.
It's
Yeah,
like
SeatGeek is pretty good. SeatGeek and Vivid Seats are probably the two I prefer using the most. AXS and Ticketmaster are fucking trash. I'm sorry,
it
they just suck.
literally has tickets for the craziest part is the farthest seat the floor seats are cheaper than sitting on the balcony at House of Blues for Lil Wayne. It says $6,453 for a balcony seat. When I could pay $603 for floor seats.
That's crazy.
Why would I sit in the balcony if I could just be? I mean, I'm one of those people. I've never necessarily been to a real concert before, but why would I pay for a balcony seat? I could just be on the floor, even though
I
I hate being amongst a crowd of people like that.
I've been to a bunch of concerts, and if you have assigned seating, it's always worth spending. Like balcony seats, and then like an arena, especially, fucking suck.
Like I would rather just be like if I don't care. I just be on the floor getting lit.
Like the meme you sent me where like Sting is in the very top of the arena and they zoom out. That's literally you if you get balcony seats.
No, I see that meme every time someone posts like they're at a game and they post like they're high up. Somebody will just reply in a tweet with Sting.
Oh man. I think we've only got yeah, the main ender for this week is March Madness, baby.
Yes.
All right, who you got taking it all?
All right. I got either Houston
Let's go.
or UCLA.
Boo. Nah, I think
I want to say Kentucky is my but because they're my favorite team, college team, Kentucky. But I don't know yet. But
um
I'm thinking Houston. Either Houston wins it at home in some sort of bittersweet ending, or UCLA because Big Ten. Let's go. I mean,
I'm gonna
then
I'm gonna say this, Ron. I think if I go back to my bracket, I had the Blue Devils losing to Houston in Houston.
Duke was good this year, but um, the media basically didn't vote them on the polls because they don't have Coach K anymore, so they don't have the benefit of the doubt
I don't get
like
that,
they
man.
used to have. And it was like somebody tweeted something like if Coach K coached the same team, same record, everything was the same, would they be ranked? And like, yeah. And I was like, damn, I thought Duke would at least get the name brand. I at least thought the brand Duke was like good for being ranked. But I realized it's not the brand anymore. It was literally the coach.
As somebody who lives in Houston and still hasn't seen a Cougars game yet, I feel bad because, bro, that team. Every time I watch them on TV, I'm like, one, it's a packed house. Those motherfuckers are getting like more people and more attention than the Rockets right now. And two, they play really good basketball. And I don't want to
Move,
go all sports podcast on this, but like, they're genuinely a good team and they're fun to watch and they play
move,
defense.
move
So
them to the Toyota
excited.
Center next year.
Wait, what'd you say, Ron?
Move them to the Toyota Center.
I think at one point during the season, the Cougars had a game the same day as the Rockets, and they had the same age starting lineup at
I'm
every
like,
position. Yeah, Rockets hopefully improve, man. I hope they do better. But on the March Madness tip, yeah, I have Houston winning it all in my bracket because I have to. I've had Gonzaga winning every year for the past like 5 years, and I've never felt so sad. Some of the ways that they get eliminated, man,
yeah,
so fucking bad.
look, when they didn't win it 2 years ago, I realized like if they couldn't win in like the COVID um bubble situation, they're not gonna ever win it. Or like it's gonna take a lot for them because they're a small school and like they just can't beat a big school if they couldn't beat a big school when there was like no fans and everyone had to play in Indiana.
That shit was that man. Whole pandemic basketball during the pandemic was so fucking weird.
Yes, sports during the pandemic was like a multiverse.
The fact that They had to rush out the Michael Jordan documentary just so people had something to watch. Was funny though.
I just seen people on Twitter talking about, well, there's nothing on, so we'll put it out now. And like the biggest issue is that some of the editing was fucked up on it because they rushed it. If they would have waited like a month and a half, I believe, for when it was really supposed to come out, everything would have been perfect about it.
All right. Well, I think that about covers everything we wanted to talk about this week, man. We need Rui and Dre back. It's pain.
Yes.
We need to resurrect Rui
Yes.
and get Dre out of hell because that's where he's stuck right now.
Everybody, put your hands in the air and send your energy to the sky to resurrect Rui. If you tune in next week and he's here, it worked. If you tune in next week and he's not, it didn't work.
True. All right, man. Everyone, have a nice day. Make sure you like and subscribe. Do all the things. Share us. Put us on your socials. Put us in your ears.
Follow us on Instagram at I believe it's I'm looking up right now. Let's see. Spice.cast.
I was gonna say it was just SpiceCast, but you're right. It's Spice.cast Instagram. You can find us on Spotify, on YouTube, on anywhere that ears listen to things. But yeah, y'all have a nice day. Peace.